Well, with the exceptions of June, July, and much of August has seen the core of the hottest conditions over Europe, not so much across the UK and Ireland. Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Hogan's European Outlook. Hope everybody is well and enjoying their day. We are seeing some fairly blustery conditions thanks to an area of low pressure to the north of the British Isles, squeezing the isobars. We do have some brisk westerly winds, warmest temperatures the further east you go over the British Isles at the moment. This is the latest run of the GFS ensemble here for 850 temperatures. You can see here that the temperatures rise over the next 24 to 48 hours. Then there's a drop back below average, and it looks as if we stay largely average, possibly slightly below average through the remainder of August and into the first days of meteorological autumn. Isn't it incredible how we are talking about the end of summer, beginning of autumn? This summer has just flown in. It really has been quite remarkable. This is the month-to-date temperature anomalies here. Slightly warmer than average across Scotland, slightly below average across the south of the UK, as you can see here. Slightly below average. Southern Scandinavia versus a warmer than average. Northern Scandinavia, Iberia, warmer than average. Southern France, warmer than average. Average conditions across the north of France, Low Countries, much of Germany, and below average Italy and the Baltic region, or Balkan region, should I really say here. These are the current temperatures as of recording at 25 to 5 in the evening here. You can see here very warm conditions indeed across Iberia. Even southern France, we're seeing temperatures as high as 42 Celsius in southeastern France at the time of recording here. At 30 degrees up around the Paris area. We do have a fairly warm temperature regime across the southeast of England. Thanks to those westerly winds, we are seeing temperatures 25, 26, possibly 27 in East Anglia this afternoon. Always fresher in the west, and of course, with winds crossing over the hills of Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales, we are seeing the warmest temperatures in the eastern portion of the country here. But we do have some very interesting developments taking place as we head towards the final days of August. The tropics are now wakening up in the Atlantic here. We've got several areas of interest. We've got Harold coming ashore really at the moment here in South Texas. We've got Franklin. We've got Gert to the east, northeast of the Leewards. And indeed, we've got another couple of areas of interest over the open Atlantic, as you can see. But it is thanks to the Man-Julian oscillation now starting to go into more favourable phases. Widespread sinking over the Indian Ocean, widespread upward motion across the East Pacific and indeed the Atlantic Basin. Very hot, dry conditions across parts of northern South America, Central America, and indeed into the United States here, thanks to widespread sinking air. But now we're starting to see things turning around here with upward motion developing here, as we see through this 200 millibar vertical velocity potential chart here. You can see here these areas of downward sinking air over the Indian Ocean, pressing eastwards with that MJO starting to shift into more favourable phases. Now, this is also quite a trophy and blocky type setup in the northern hemisphere when you get the MJO entering into phases, 8, 6 into 1, for example. We start to see, the tropics liven up. We've seen this back in September last year, where we actually had the coolest opening, first half of September since 2012. The tropics started to get going. And we're seeing something a little bit similar now starting to show up with all the upward motion over the Americas and indeed progressing over the Western Atlantic Basin as well here. So we start to see a shift in the tropical forcing across the low latitudes here. That is now starting to have an impact. Now, what we may need to watch for is, by the way, this is September. This is the latest one of the CFSV2 for the month of September. Notice here we've got a neutral height field over the UK and Ireland with positives surrounding this. This would indicate to me a little bit more of a trophy situation over the UK and Ireland. That reflects a wetter than average September based on the current parameters, and indeed we actually do have average conditions temperature-wise across England and Wales, warmer than average further north and west over Ireland here, as you can see. So that's quite an interesting look according to the latest run of the CFSV2. Remember I said possible cool shot to start the month of September. Now, you can kind of back that idea up with regards to the situation that's going on within the tropics at the moment here. So this is the Atlantic view here. Let's go to the precipitation and the overall situation with regards to the tropics. Now, of course, we've got the area of high pressure to the west northwest of the Azores. We've got an area low pressure north of the UK. Hence why we've got a squeeze in the isobars, fairly brisk westerly winds coming in at the moment here. We've got quite a lot of strong blocking over the North Atlantic up towards Greenland. So the jet stream is being forced north up into Greenland. Then we've got it coming down to the west of the UK and Ireland. So we've got this trough in place at the moment here over or near the north and west of the British Isles here. We've got a strong ridge of high pressure over Europe. And in between that, essentially over the southeast of the UK, we've got the jet stream separating, fresh Atlantic air versus hot continental air. So we've got this separation at the moment, keeping the UK, as we've seen during the month of July and the first half of August, that separation, the jet stream essentially cutting off any major heat from Europe up into the British Isles here. Now, it's as we go through the final days of August into the early portion of September, we need to keep a close eye on the tropics in particular here. Notice these features here. These are the tropical features. There's Harold going into Texas. We've got Gert, we've got Franklin over the Caribbean Sea at the moment. But it's these features here in particular that I'm keeping a close eye on, because what may happen is we've got a trough deepening over the eastern United States at the moment. We've got these features running underneath this area of high pressure over the central North Atlantic at the moment here. As we continue to play through the loop, you can see here a trough starting to deepen, exiting eastern North America. We've got an area of low pressure that's developing with the jet stream here in between the air masses. But these tropical features are driving, circulating warm, juicy tropical air around the southern and western flank of the area of high pressure. And then as that warm air gets pushed up into the middle altitudes, it engages with the jet stream, it strengthens the jet stream, and it enhances the buckling over the North Atlantic here. So it is quite a complex situation, but it's quite a typical complex situation as we step into late August, early September, even into the month of October as well. It's the tropics that become more active at this time of the year, and therefore it builds into the ideas, into the European pattern that needs to get taken into consideration. So you notice here this area of low pressure moving northwards up towards Greenland here. That in a sense is actually pumping the area of high pressure to the east of that. We've also got these features then lifting north in that void between the area of high pressure over eastern North America, the area of high pressure over the central eastern North Atlantic here. It's this little gap, this little situation in between where we're starting to drive tropical energy, tropical warmth around that area of high pressure. That then starts to lift and engage with the jet stream. It rides over the northern half of that area of high pressure. And essentially what that's going to do is it's going to deepen the trough over the UK and Ireland here. So if we look at the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies here for the very same situation, now this is the GFS operational. It's only one model run, so we need to take this with a grain of salt here. But notice here, there's the blocking area of high pressure at the moment here. So this is for today, or for yesterday in fact. We've got the negative here, positively tilted to the west of the British Isles. We've got that ridge of high pressure centered over France, hence why we've got all the hot conditions. Now, it's as we play through the loop here, you can see what is taking place. So that area of low pressure then scoots on to the north of the British Isles here, area of high pressure to the south. We've got quite the squeeze in the isobars indicating those strong winds. Now, there's that trough exiting eastern Canada. We've got, of course, these features running underneath the southern flank of the Azores high pressure system. That then deepens the trough over the western North Atlantic, enhances the ridge of high pressure over the northeast Atlantic. But as we play through the loop here, you start to see that trough starting to deepen a little bit more over the British Isles here as we start to see these features lifting north. Notice here this rather interesting tropical storm, if not hurricane, that is riding out of the tropical Atlantic here. It's starting to engage with a trough over the eastern half of the United States here. That in turn then builds the high pressure over the North Atlantic, and in turn downstream then enhances the negative over the UK and Ireland as we push towards the final days of August and into early September. So the tropics is becoming a big player as we go towards the final days of August here and into the early portion of September. Look at that trough with the positive to the north and west of the British Isles, so up towards Greenland, up towards Iceland here. Look at that negative here over and to the south and southwest of the British Isles here. So a complex situation evolving as we step towards the early portion of September here. Quite an amplified pattern, quite a wavy pattern. So it certainly is a very interesting end game to summer 2023, that's for sure, and begin autumn 2023. So I think that's enough for today, actually. We will look at more in detail at this in the next couple of days here. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. And I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.